And we are live. Well, welcome
Good
to
morning.
Good Morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Um, happy Dialogues About Death Day. And today is we have Chris Kringle joining us today.
Ho, 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 Mary.
He's not really Chris Miller. He's Chris Kringle today, and we're talking about how to face loss during the holidays. So I'm sorry we're giggly, but we were just talking about behind the scenes and all the magic that happens to bring you this show.
Yes.
Because Chris, I really appreciate actually. I know we like kind of co-host this, but I really appreciate you taking the time to answer some questions because we really get a lot of wonderful feedback for
We
people
do.
saying, "Wow, that's something I never wanted to ask, and you answered it." So
Yeah,
thank you for putting yourself out there. I really
I
appreciate it.
do. I hear it around our community. When I'm out in the community, people said, "Oh, I saw your clip at the other day of your show. I rewound it. And I saw a little bit of it. And you're like, wow, those are some really great words that you said." And so it is. It's a little 30 minutes of me once or twice a month just to touch people's lives and to hopefully make a difference. And that's what I'm here for. Is hopefully the few words I can say can be comforting during this time of the year.
Exactly, exactly. And on that note, as you are dressed as Kris Kringle today, and we're talking about the holidays. In fact, just to pre promote the next show in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about facing grief during the holidays because
Yeah,
the holidays is an interesting time for
it is.
people. There's a lot of joy, but there's also a lot of feelings that are not always positive, and
Yes.
that does cause people to have stress in their life, and sometimes that can be bad for our health. So we're gonna talk about that today, and we're gonna make this a short show just to get straight to the point.
Yep.
But again, if you guys have any comments or questions, Chris loves to answer those live. So we're
Absolutely.
really interactive here. And if you feel that this is something that might help someone who might be going through a loss or a pending loss or whatever, if you could share it with them, that would be fantastic. We'd really
Sure.
appreciate that. Okay, so let's get right into it,
You
Chris.
bet. Let's do it.
All right. So the first question that came in is, are the holidays a risk factor for death? And I'm going to go off screen and let you answer that.
Sure. So before I get started, I just want to say, this all these questions that I answer are just my point of view. I don't do a lot of research. It's just the research of my knowledge over the years of being in funeral service and the encounters that I've met with people through the times that I've worked here at Thomas Miller Mortuary. So the question is the holidays a time for risk of loss or death or and I have to say yes. Unfortunately, this time of year, our business tends to increase, and it's not for the good. Nobody ever wants to lose a loved one around the holidays. It makes a joyous time a little bit bitter or sour. Um, but what it is we need to just kind of let go. There's so much stress with trying to get things done. There's timelines of gifts and gatherings, and there's travel and things, and it puts a lot of stress in our lives. And you just need to kind of sit back and relax and take a breath. And it's not about the hustle and bustle. It's really about family, friends, and loved ones. And you just need to take a moment and really just be blessed that you're actually with family if you have family in the area. And if not, connect and reach out with them. With technology, it's not as hard as it used to be. And if you can get together, you can definitely reduce your stress. Communicating the times that and memories that you have are a wonderful thing. But again, with stress of the holidays, it is a risk factor. So just take your time. I've been repeating to my staff for the last couple of weeks. It's like, all right, everybody, just sit down and take a deep breath like this, and just do 2 or 3 breaths. And you know what? It really kind of changes your attitude when you start doing some deep breathing and just slow down, kind of reduces your stress, and then just take it all in and then write your list down of the things you need to do and just accomplish what you have to. If you don't get it done, there's tomorrow. And you can always finish it up tomorrow. And if you don't get it done, then there's a reason why it wasn't meant to be. So all I have to do is just for a word of thought, is just take your time, take a deep breath, slow down, and enjoy the reason for the season.
I love that. Very good perspective. I love that.
You bet.
But let's also, people want to know, like, why do people I mean, you kind of touched on it, but why do people die more during the holidays? I mean, and maybe they don't, but let me
Sure.
know, like, do people statistically die more in the holidays or
Sure.
during the holidays, you'd say from Thanksgiving to New Year than
Yes.
any time of the year? I'll go off screen and you can answer that too.
Sure.
Okay.
So statistically, overall, the 25 plus years that I've been doing funerals and working in the funeral industry, our you can say our busy season, which people always say, "Oh, Chris, death and taxes are always guaranteed. You're always going to have death, death, death." And there are ups and down times of the years when actually death is more prevalent than others. And really, I always say, like from Halloween, from the end of October through January 1st or the first week or two in January, it's really our busiest season. So for those 8 to 10 weeks, um, our business really escalates. And I think the reason for it is a little bit of the stress of the seasons that we have of celebrating, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. But also, I think so many people have the will to live, and those people that are like either terminally ill or really sick, they want to make it through the holidays for their loved ones. And so the mind is an amazing thing, and we really, if you want to have the will to live, people can live days or weeks on end, so then their family doesn't have to deal with that death close to the holidays. And unfortunately, they live through the holiday. So really, between the week of Christmas and New Year's, it's almost one of the busiest weeks of the year because people will make it through Christmas Day, and then they start to say, "Hey, I've made it through the holidays. It's time for me to go, and I can be at peace." And also, between New Year's, people always want to live like another year. And so they make it through that extra day or two. So they live through January 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, and they said, "Oh, I've made it another year." So you could say, like on their dash date of when they were born and when they die, they could put that extra year on their stone. And so it's just an amazing thing how life works, but it is, and it's unfortunately that we do lose so many people around the holidays because it's hard for families to lose that person. But it's kind of true statistically. If you talk to anybody in the funeral business, they'll always say it's always around the holidays is our busiest time of the year.
That is so interesting. Yeah, and I know that a lot of people, in fact, a friend of mine, her mother is um, probably moments away from going to heaven and seeing
Yeah,
Jesus. But
yeah,
I basically gave her the advice that this is the time to tell her everything, even though she's not speaking back, she can hear you,
absolutely.
and tell her all the things that you're grateful for, and that you're going to be okay, and
Yep,
that she raised an amazing family, and that you're so appreciative of the memories that you'll carry with you always, and
absolutely.
and I think that when they hear that, they help them make the transition easier. Like, okay,
It
I'm
does.
done, and she says it seems like she was waiting for her brother to come,
Yep,
and her mom literally opened her eyes and her brother came and like raised her eyebrows a little bit and then went back to sleep. Like she just needed
they
to
do.
check things off her list. And
That's exactly right.
isn't that wild?
It
And I
is.
was, yeah,
Like I said, the mind is such an amazing thing, and so people they'll wait for loved ones that are traveling afar, or even that telephone call. They'll wait for those things, just like you said, to check that box, saying, "Yep, I've talked to that person. I've made peace with that person. I
yes.
can go ahead and move on."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just got shivers. That's so
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So we have Sissy joining us. Good morning, Sissy.
Good morning.
We love when we have people come live and ask questions or want to share stories. Steve said, "Yep, great subject. I agree."
Yep.
It's important, and I think because all those feelings come up with us that maybe we lost a family member during the holidays, and so like when I was a little girl, my cousin died. We were the same age, and he
Hmm.
died on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
So that day was so hard for my aunt and uncle that they literally went and we celebrated Thanksgiving away from our homes, like in this
Sure.
location,
Sure.
because, and for us, it was fun because like a fancy country club. We had a lot of fun. But for them, like they didn't want to be in their home
Yep.
because that was where they connected losing him. And so it never ends. Like, he died when we were 4 and that
Yep.
just continued on. So,
I know
wow.
I've had a couple friends lose family members, one on Thanksgiving, one on Christmas Eve, and it's heartbreaking when you have to go into their homes and help them because growing up, I when somebody passed away, I would have to go to their homes, and so it disrupted our family tradition too.
Oh, yeah.
So, but my family always understood because it's like, and I always told my kids when I had to leave, I'm like, you guys are blessed. It's like somebody just lost their loved one today.
Right.
I'm going to help them for the next couple hours. So I go, you guys just need to be patient. Dad will be home in a couple hours, and I can come back and we can open up the gifts or have our dinner or whatever. But
Yeah.
I know it was part of our thing. When I know somebody, it's like I've got to leave. It's part of my job. And but it's like think about how they're going through, and it is those families have to change their traditions, and they should change it up because they make kind of that sad situation, make it a happy one. So make it a different occasion. And we can talk about that here in a little bit of
Yes,
what we
that's
need
so
to do.
you're yeah, that's one of the
I
questions that
know.
came in. That's
I'm
awesome.
jumping in there.
Yes, but also I just wanna say on the note of telling your children, "This is my job, I have to go do it." You're also modeling compassion because you took the
Yeah,
time to say, "Okay, we're gonna delay our gratification
sure.
because we wanna care for others
Yep.
in this moment, and then you'd be back." Like,
Yeah.
it was a great opportunity for them to see love in action.
Yes.
Which I love. That's why you raise amazing kids. Okay.
Thank you.
So let's get into like the nitty-gritty.
Sure.
So the next question comes in, what happens when a loved one dies during the holidays? Not just in general, which we'd like to know the question. It also had a
Sure.
secondary question specifically if someone dies, do they call your office? Do they call like who do they
Sure.
call that kind of stuff? So I'm going to go off screen and let you answer that.
Sure. So our offices, even though we may not have physical office hours where our you can't walk up to our front door and the door is open, we're always available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Our staff is on standby. We have somebody to answer the phones, to take your call, and if we need to come out to someone's home, we'll do that at any time, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Um, and so we're always there for you. So if something happens on a holiday, we can definitely bring your loved one into our care. And then the following business day or so, what we'll do is we'll be in contact with you so we can call and set up an appointment for us to continue making any sort of arrangements or preparations. Um, other agencies are closed around the holidays too, so it does maybe put things out an extra day or two. The county is closed for filing death certificates. Some of the cemeteries are closed. Some of the crematories are closed. So we might have to postpone things an extra day or two in regards to other times of the year when we can just kind of work Monday through Friday because holidays are midweek or over the weekends and things like that. So it might postpone things a little bit, but then it also gives the family time to get together. It also gives the family time to make arrangements for if they're out traveling. And I know sometimes families are all in town and they want something done right away. And we could probably make some accommodations of like a memorial service or a quick little service if we have to do that, depending on the staff that I have available and the things that we can put together at the time. So we could possibly expedite things, but it's not necessarily the case because we can't do the final dispositions of things because the county would be closed and we can't finish filing all the necessary documents that are required for a burial or a cremation during around the holiday time. So sometimes it's put out a day or two, which might be an inconvenience. But I look at it as taking that time to spend together as a family and to remember that person and cherish the times and the memories and share the stories about that loved one.
I love that. And also when you're all together, then you can, pull up pictures and
Yeah.
relive memories and because I know that at Thomas Miller Mortuary you have so many different uh, sources for helping people with like putting together a video,
Yes.
putting together photo books, the program cards. Like there's so many things that you have options, and of course your customers can do it themselves if they want.
Yes.
But some people don't have the capability or the desire. They
We
just wanna
do.
pass it off, and that's what you guys really excel
We
at
do.
is
We work
yeah,
together. So when we're working with our families, we ask them how they want to participate. Some families want to participate, and some of them don't want to take it off their plate. And so we can do it either way. We can almost do like 100% of it. We can do 80% of it. We can do 50%, or we can do 20% of it. We'll
sure.
have to be engaged at some point. And some families say, hey, here are the photos, you take care of it. Or here's this, you take care of it. And we can do that. We want to relieve the burden off of your family so you can spend time with your family.
I love it. Oh, we have a few more people joining us live. Good morning, Kathy,
Morning, Kathy.
your wonderful funeral director at the La
Yeah.
Sierra Chapel in
Yeah.
Riverside. And also good morning from Christina. Looks
Nice.
like she's logged in with someone else. So good morning. Christine is also at the La Sierra branch.
Nice.
And Steve says he loves that. That's awesome. Yeah, it is so helpful that you guys can do things like, because when you're going through that, like it's kind of like an out of body experience because it's so surreal having to
Yeah,
make those decisions if you haven't pre-planned of
sure.
what to do. And so I love that you guys just lay out the options and then
We
people can
do.
make those choices.
That's what's so important, and that's what we do. All my staff is educated and really giving all of our families all of the options and just giving them everything available for them to make the decisions of how engaged they want to be or the things that they want. So that's the beauty of kind of a family operation. Also, is that my all my staff, all my funeral directors and funeral counselors are just very compassionate in assisting families during this time of year.
I love that. And you brought up a good point. Being a family-owned business, that literally is the first business in Corona.
Yeah.
Your parents bought the business in 1969, and
Yeah.
then you were able to get the business as well. And then so it's so nice that you carry on the family values.
Yes.
So people aren't rushed. They're not
Nope.
pressured. It's not about the money. It's about
Nope.
what they want. Because
Yeah.
it could be as simple, like I think I've said in other shows, people could bring in if they decided to have cremation as an option,
Sure.
they can even bring in a tequila bottle
They
if
could
that's what
bring in
your
whatever
dad
they
wants.
like.
Put like you don't have to buy everything. You can
Nope.
literally, it's nice that they have that option.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now this question we kind of covered a little bit, but this
Okay.
came in, so we need to answer it.
Sure.
Why do people dread the holidays? And
Hmm.
again, we're talking a little bit about, I mean, we're kind of saying that maybe it's because overall there's additional costs during the holiday times. They're likely to, miss people that we kind of answered this, that people are going to miss the ones who are gone during the holidays.
Yeah.
Anything else that you can think of?
I don't know. I think you got to make the best of the holidays. There's no need to dread. I know that if you've lost to someone, it's going to be uh, kind of hard on your heart. But as time goes on, and it's like I lost my wife, 7.5 years ago, and so we changed our traditions up. And I know one of our traditions every year is when my kids come over, we open up our gifts, but we go out to the cemetery and we put some flowers at her gravesite, and we spend a little time there. And it's just one of those new traditions that we created. And it's not that first year you might dread it because it's the heartache, but over time it's kind of a joyous time, and it gives a time for families to come together. So there's no need to dread when you make new traditions, make new experiences to avoid those dreads. And I know that sometimes it's the cost of living these days, trying to entertain and trying to purchase gifts. And we did that too. We changed it in our family tradition. We used to have to buy gifts for my nieces and my nephews and all the aunts and uncles and all that. And about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we said, let's do Secret Santa. Let's just get one gift, and we draw names, and it takes a lot of stress off of everybody because then it's only you shop for one person and you spend a little extra money on that one person, but you're not like spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on, 6 or 7 or 8 people. And it gets really expensive and it really gets out of hand. And it's not about the gifts and all that. It's about the family and coming together. And so we still have that little gift exchange, and it's a Secret Santa, so nobody knows who's getting a gift from who. Makes it kind of exciting. It takes that burden of the holidays away. So try to create some new things within your family to remove the dread or the negativity of the holidays, and try to make it lighthearted, love, fun, and bring joy to your family. And maybe it's up to you this year of maybe changing something up for your family. You still got about 3 weeks to go. Change it up. There's still plenty of time. There's no need to rush, and change it up this year. And maybe you will then start a new tradition to remove that heartache or that dread from your family.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
kind of jumping into our last question, which is about strategies. Before we get there, we
yeah,
actually did have a quick question, which is
sure.
a little bit of a different spin. Steve asked if you have any suggestions on how to address the holidays when a friend or relative has lost someone. So not you personally,
Uh,
but someone in your life who's lost somebody. What would you suggest to how to help them during this time?
Well, it all depends if they're single, like if they've lost that one person and they're home by themselves and they don't have family in the area. Perhaps you invite them over to dinner. Maybe you include them in your family stuff and bring them so they don't feel like they're alone because their traditions have changed a little bit. um, Reach out, and just let them know that, hey, I'm here for you. Give them the support just like you would throughout any other time, but definitely this time of year. Nobody ever wants to be alone around the holidays, because everybody goes up with memories as either a child or as an adult of the festivities and things. And when people lose those things, like we said, those traditions change. So maybe you reach out to that person and say, hey, why don't you come over and enjoy a dinner with us, or enjoy a meal, or take them out for a lunch or something, and just change it up. So I would say the most important thing is to engage with that person and let them know that you're there for them, just to give them that support. Maybe it's an important time that that person will maybe talk about that person, because part of grief and part of getting over and through those things is to talk about it. And maybe you'll be that special person that reaches out, and they'll feel comfortable talking to you about their loved one that they've lost. And maybe that'll make them feel a little bit more lighthearted, and feel a little better, and bring a little joy to them, knowing that they've been able to share some memories and thoughts of their loved one.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true. And Jody just joined us. Great question. It is true. We all have a friend, or
Good.
that has lost someone in their life, and people feel awkward, like, oh, whatever. And you brought up a really good point. The intuition says don't talk about it because it'll bring them pain.
Yes,
But actually, it brings them comfort to
it
be able
does.
to talk about their loved one, and you could just remind them of the stories that you had of their
That's
loved
right.
one
That's
and say, "Oh
right.
my gosh, he was such a great guy. Remember when his laugh was contagious, and
Yep.
I still hear it, or the videos that I have, because that was something when my mom passed away. We created wedding video, a funeral video,
Yeah.
and there was one clip that my mom, like, just walked right into the camera, like, it was just a random day, and I happened to be filming on my old camera of my nieces playing,
Uh-huh.
and she walked right into the camera, she goes, "I'm off to buy a new car." Like, and she made a funny face, and then she laughed, like, her head through her back. I rewound that over and over
Yep.
just to hear her laugh, and, like, now I'm, like, trying not to tear up
Yeah.
because it brought me, like, a happy joy, like,
That's right.
there she is again. There she is again. Like,
Yep.
it was just this nice thing. So, yeah. So, and I'm a picture hoarder and digital video hoarder. I will die and the cloud will fall down. That's all my
Oh,
photos and videos are stored in. So, videotape your friends laughing because that's an
that's
awesome.
right. That's why we
Yes.
laugh while we're on the show, because it's being recorded and we'll always have our laughs, Mary.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
so sweet. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, awesome. Well, we're coming into our last question, and
All
before we
right.
wrap up, I just want to remind people that we have our next show on December 20th, right before Christmas,
Yes.
and we're going to be talking about, or today's show is about how to face loss during the holiday. We're going to be talking about how to face
Grief.
grief during the holiday, which is different. It's a different
Yes.
thing. So I just wanted to do that little plug that join us again in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. And the last one is, and this one is a little bit, you kind of touched on it here or there, but let's talk some serious strategies because people are like, sometimes they're just, they like checklists, right? So
Yes.
let's talk about some strategies on how people can face loss so then they can feel accomplished if they're a type A person like me.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. So a checklist of things is, like I said, get engaged. Don't be a hermit. Don't be a recluse. Get out. And I know it's difficult, because when you have the pain of that loss, you feel you want to feel that isolation. But I encourage you even to go out to and I know everybody shops on Amazon and online and does all that stuff, but get out and walk the malls, walk the stores, be amongst people. You might see other people's joy of the holidays, but you also might see all their frantic, oh my gosh, I got to get stuff done. And you can see that people aren't in this alone. Also, engage with your family too. It's okay to reach out, and I know hopefully your family will reach out to you. Also, maybe find some special books to read, remembering your loved one. Maybe they love a certain type of book. Maybe go get a book and read, and maybe journal about that. Also, journaling and talking and writing things down about your loved one are really important. um, and just sharing memories. I mean, the more you can get it off your chest and out, it really is refreshing. Also, another thing is self care. I remember I was my wife's caregiver for several years prior to her death, and I kind of neglected myself. And I know you, during the time of the loss of your loved one, if they were in a long illness, you might have been taking care of them quite a bit too. And you forgot about going to your checkups, going to your doctors, maybe exercising, eating right. And I know around the holidays, it's a hard thing not to eat right, but maybe around after the first of the year, start a regimen. Maybe start exercising again. Go get your checkups. Take care of yourself because you've almost probably forgotten about yourself because you were so involved in taking care of your loved one. So I would say take self care, help read a book, and get engaged. Those are a couple of tips that I'd like to share with you today, and hopefully those will get you through the holidays.
I love it. And the last thing I was gonna say is that you've told me before is that if you really feel like you just can't climb out of the hole that you're in, even with the bubble baths and the visiting friends and stuff, you just still feel that sense of darkness and heaviness. There are professionals
There
that
are.
can help. Either through Chris has amazing aftercare services that can help you connect you with different resources. There's on his website. He has lots of things, but call the office. Also, in fact, let me put that up here. He has an office in Corona, which is
Yes.
737-3244, and in Riverside, the Sierra Memorial Chapel, which is 687-0551, both 951. So call that, they will connect you. You could also ask if they have, any recommendations of professional counselors. But a
Yes.
really great resource that you've mentioned, Chris, is your local church.
Absolutely. Any church, even you may not be a churchgoer today, but you grew up probably going to church at some point. So just go back to your church. And if not, find a new church. Maybe you're driving down the street and you say, wow, maybe something tugs you or draws you to that church. Just go there. Doesn't matter what religion or faith you are. If you're drawn to it, there must be a reason why you were drawn. Go there. They
Yeah.
always have help and support there.
I love it. Yeah. And that's, I mean, there's grief support specifically, as well as they have recommendations lists of counselors
Absolutely.
that could help. And they're not all faith-based. They could be
No,
non-denominational, things like that.
absolutely.
So awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. I really appreciate your time today
You bet.
talking about how to face loss during the holiday. And again, one more time, we have our next show in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So bring your questions or send them in. Comment below this video if you have questions that weren't answered. We'll definitely be answering them at our next event, our next show, which
Yes.
was going to be how to face grief
Brief.
during the holiday.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So, Chris, stay on. But for everyone else, thank you so much. And I hope you're enjoying your holidays. And again, eat all those cookies because it doesn't count during Christmas. I'm just saying.
That's right.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Until then, God bless and have a wonderful day.
Bye bye.